Welcome to Chilly Expert, where we dive into the darkest corners of the internet, where shadows whisper and fear takes hold. Today we bring you the top 5 scariest Reddit stories that will send chills down your spine. Stories whispered in the dead of night, tales that will leave you questioning what lurks just beyond the veil of reality. Make sure to turn off the lights, because tonight we venture into the abyss. Our first story takes us deep into the heart of a bustling city, where a young man's late-night walk turns into a chilling encounter. He was heading home, the city lights painting the pavement in an orange glow. But something wasn't right. Across the street, shrouded in the shadows, stood a figure. A man, tall and gaunt, with an unsettling grin stretched across his pale face. He just stood there, watching. The man tried to shake off the feeling, quickening his pace, but every time he looked back, the figure was closer, always smiling. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, a cold sweat clinging to his skin. The figure followed him for blocks, never speaking, never breaking eye contact. He finally reached his apartment building, fumbling for his keys with trembling hands. As he slammed the door shut behind him, he thought he heard a soft chuckle echoing from the hallway. He never saw the smiling man again, but the memory of that night, of that chilling grin, continues to haunt his dreams. Imagine, if you will, a small, sleepy town nestled amidst rolling hills. This is where our next story takes us, to a place where darkness held a melody, a haunting tune that chilled the very bone. It began subtly, a faint whistling in the dead of night. At first the townsfolk dismissed it as the wind, a trick of the ear. But the whistling persisted, growing louder, closer. It always seemed to be nearest to a young woman named Sarah, a haunting melody that followed her every move. The tune was simple, almost childlike, yet there was an unsettling quality to it, a dissonance that sent shivers down her spine. She could hear it everywhere she went, in the rustling leaves, the hum of the refrigerator, the silence of her own breath. One particularly dark night, Sarah awoke to the sound of the whistling right outside her window. Terror gripped her heart as she slowly peeked through the curtains. There, shrouded in the darkness, stood a shadowy figure, its form barely discernible. But the whistling, oh, that haunting melody, it was unmistakable. The figure remained there for what felt like an eternity, the whistling growing louder, more insistent. Then, as quickly as it began, it stopped. The figure vanished, leaving Sarah trembling in the darkness, the chilling tune forever seared into her memory. Our next tale takes us on a desolate highway, where a lone driver encounters a figure shrouded in mystery. The night was dark, the road stretching endlessly before him like a black ribbon. The driver, a truck driver named Jack, had been on the road for hours, the drone of the engine his only companion. That's when he saw her, a lone figure standing by the side of the road, thumb outstretched. She was young, maybe in her early 20s, with long dark hair and a backpack slung over her shoulder. Jack, being a kind soul, pulled over. The young woman got in, her eyes filled with a strange sadness. She told him her name was Emily and she was heading to the next town. They talked about life, about the open road, but something about Emily's demeanor seemed off, distant. Miles turned into minutes, and as they approached the turn-off for the town Emily had mentioned, she asked Jack to stop. He found it strange, but he pulled over. Emily thanked him for the ride, a faint smile gracing her lips, and then she was gone, vanished into thin air. Jack searched for hours, but there was no sign of Emily. He couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Years later, Jack still drives that same highway, and every time he passes that spot, he remembers Emily, the vanishing hitchhiker, and the unsettling feeling that he had been touched by something beyond explanation. Our next story takes us into the confines of a child's bedroom, where fear takes on a shape both familiar and terrifying. A young boy named Daniel lived in an old house with his family. It was the kind of house with creaky floorboards and whispers of forgotten memories. One night, as Daniel lay in bed, his eyes drifted to the corner of his room. The shadows seemed to be dancing, twisting and turning in the dim light. At first he dismissed it as his imagination, but as the nights went by, the shadows grew more defined, taking on a sinister shape. It was a humanoid figure, tall and slender, with long, sharp fingers that seemed to twitch and writhe. Daniel was paralyzed with fear, unable to scream, unable to move. He would lie awake for hours, watching as the shadow loomed in the corner, its presence growing stronger with each passing night. He tried telling his parents, but they dismissed his fears as childish nightmares. But Daniel knew better. He could feel the coldness emanating from the corner, a bone-chilling presence that sent shivers down his spine. One night, as the shadow stretched and contorted in the darkness, Daniel could take it no more. He leaped from his bed and switched on the light. The corner was empty, but as Daniel stared at the spot where the shadow had been, he could have sworn he saw a pair of glowing eyes staring back at him, watching him from the darkness that lay just beyond his vision. Our final tale of terror takes us into the realm of technology, where a series of chilling phone calls leave a young woman on edge. It began innocently enough, a missed call on her phone, the number unknown. She thought nothing of it, assuming it was a wrong number, but the calls persisted, always coming in the dead of night, the phone ringing off the hook. Curiosity got the better of her, and one night she answered. Silence, only the faint crackle of static on the other end. She hung up, her heart pounding in her chest. The calls continued night after night, the silence on the other end growing more and more unnerving. Then the messages started, voicemails filled with heavy breathing, distorted whispers and chilling laughter. Her voicemail box became a repository of terror, each message sending chills down her spine. She tried changing her number, but the calls followed. Fear became her constant companion, the ringing phone a harbinger of dread. She couldn't escape the feeling that someone or something was watching her, toying with her. One night the phone rang again. This time a voice, raspy and chilling, whispered, "We know where you live." That was it. She couldn't take it anymore. She threw her phone away, but the fear remained, a constant reminder that some things can't be silenced, even in the digital age. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. The internet is a vast and often terrifying place, and we've only just scratched the surface. And remember, the next time you hear a strange noise or see something out of the corner of your eye, it might just be more than your imagination. Sweet dreams.